I feel that we were stereotyped, you know, just right off the bat.
They're getting pushed from behind instead of a helping hand on the shoulder.
A Valley family coming forward tonight saying they were unfairly investigated by the Arizona Department of Child Safety. They believe race was a factor.
In Arizona, black children are at least 4 times more likely to be removed from their home compared to white and Hispanic children. In fact, 1 out of every 34 black children is in foster care. Experts say the data is alarming.
ABC 15's Zach Crenshaw looking into these disparities for months. Tonight, he has the story of how that Phoenix family pushed back and are now pushing for change. All new at 10.
Imagine police and child welfare workers outside your home telling you your daughter now belongs to the state. Well, that's exactly what happened to the Ranger family.
I just said, "You're not taking my daughter."
In the end, this little girl never left her parents' home. But the stress and trauma inflicted in the midst of intense medical care has some questioning why DCS pursued the case, how they went about it, and if their investigation is an example of a more systemic problem. Kevin and Khadijah Ranger have 5 beautiful girls.
They're all 2 years apart.
The youngest is Queen.
She's real funny. She loves nature, running.
You know what that is?
But one day, she stopped running.
Around July of 2020, we noticed that she was limping.
Kevin and Khadijah took Queen for x-rays at St. Joe's. Doctors referred the parents to PCH. That's when they say their ordeal with DCS began.
We get a phone call from PCH. "Hey, where are you guys at?" We're eating. Well, you're supposed to come straight over here. So on our flight to PCH, we get another phone call. It's DCS. "Hey, we just got a complaint that you guys are neglecting your daughter's medical care." We're like, "What?"
In the report, DCS wrote Phoenix Children's staff called them because the parents left against medical advice. Kevin allegedly telling doctors that day, quote, "Queen has been through enough. We'll be back Monday." 12 days later, caseworkers determined there was no evidence to support that neglect call.
I really felt offended because I've always taken care of my children. So I'm like, this is really preposterous.
That initial investigation, though, was not their biggest concern.
They said, "Okay, Mr. Ranger, we see something on her brain, but we don't know what it is."
It was a rapidly growing brain tumor.
That's when our whole world stopped.
In the year that followed,
Never missed an appointment. My wife took her to 3 times a week therapy.
but the Rangers were now in the system. In September 2021, DCS opened another investigation, alleging the parents medically neglected Queen when they refused to get a specific MRI. That led to a pause in chemo, which doctors say may have contributed to significant life-threatening growth of the tumor. The Rangers denied that MRI with contrast because they say months earlier it caused Queen to have an allergic reaction.
She broke out in red hives all over her body. So we're like, well, we're declining that. Then we get another complaint. DCS is involved again. And this is where Dr. Wooten came into play.
They came to me because of a simple reason that should have been easily fixed.
Dr. Dwayne Wooten made one phone call to Phoenix Children's and resolved the issue by suggesting a different type of MRI. The respected South Phoenix pediatrician couldn't understand why DCS and PCH were trying to force the parents into a medical decision.
But if you don't allow this to happen, we're going to take your child. How are you going to respond to that? And these parents were loving parents. They just didn't agree with all the kinds of therapy that was pushed onto them.
Should DCS have ever been involved with the
Not at all.
But on September 27, 2021, a DCS caseworker showed up at the Rangers' home alongside Phoenix PD.
This time I'm going to give you a notice of removal.
The state employee was looking to take Queen that evening.
We do have now custody of your daughter.
But she was at a birthday party with her sisters.
"Can you take us where she is? We're going to go and pick her up." I said, "Well, that's not going to happen."
DCS even filed a missing juvenile report with Phoenix PD. But days later, the parents fought back in court, and Queen was never taken. In fact, 3 months later, the judge closed the case for good.
I think there was a lot of miscommunication early on in this case. I think it was appropriate to become involved at that time, but I don't think it's necessary for these parents to co-parent with the government any longer.
It's an overzealousness of dealing with African American families. What I mean by that is giving them no benefit of the doubt.
This does frustrate me.
Matthew Stewart spent 10 years working for DCS. In 2020, he left and now works as a community advocate trying to change outcomes for black families.
In a state where we are data-driven, this data doesn't seem to drive action.
Data from 2021 shows, based on population, black children are at least 4 times more likely to end up in foster care compared to white and Hispanic kids.
We're keenly aware of that, and that's why we're engaged in these conversations.
DCS Director Mike Faust says addressing the ongoing racial disparities is a top priority.
Personally, I spend 15 to 20% of my time specifically on this. Family engagement is critical to the work that we do, and we continue to get better at it, but we still got a long way to go.
The director couldn't speak about the Ranger case, but acknowledged distrust plays a role in outcomes.
We come to the door thinking we're coming to help, but if the family on the other side of the door says we're here not to help, we have to figure that one out.
January 11th, 2022. 5 days after her 7th birthday, the Rangers took Queen in for laser surgery at Banner Desert Medical Center.
Banner said they can go in and debunk the tumor.
After the operation, the surgeon delivered the news.
Sorry, Mr. Ranger, but obviously something happened as far as her losing oxygen to her brain.
For 5 days, the family prayed for a miracle.
Just looking at the monitor, she's not really breathing on her own.
Finally, they had to pull the plug.
9:04, they unplug it. I picked my daughter up. Pick my daughter up. Now watch her transition, man. Going through all this trauma with DCS. And then on top of this, we lose our daughter anyway.
In her final months, Queen, her sisters, and their parents were all worried about being separated. Dr. Wooten says it's a tragedy they weren't able to savor those final moments as a family.
It should have been something more like, she's probably going to die. What's going to be her quality of life? And let's see what we can do to bridge that gap.
Are you optimistic that there will be change?
No, I'm not. I'm just not.
Zach Crenshaw, ABC 15, Arizona.
We reached out to Phoenix Children's Hospital for comment. Like DCS, they couldn't talk specifics about the Ranger family, but said in part Phoenix Children's has a duty to report situations where we believe patient safety may be compromised, particularly in order to save a child's life. When our physicians and staff members encounter such situations, we are legally obligated to notify the proper authorities.